I'm Phyllis Jackson. Thanks for joining us for Stay at Home Connect.
If you were out protesting last night, you probably need to go get a COVID test this week, because there's still a pandemic in America that's killing Black and brown people at higher numbers.
Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms sharing concerns about the potential for new COVID-19 cases. She echoes the voices of medical professionals who are also worried about an increase in coronavirus due to protests. Demonstrations were sparked by the death of George Floyd, who was killed while under police custody in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Doctors are strongly encouraging protesters to wear face masks to protect themselves and those with whom they will come in contact, as large assemblies like demonstrations make social distancing difficult, if not impossible. A small Northwestern University study finds that COVID-19 may attack the placentas of pregnant women. 16 women were studied. One suffered a miscarriage. The remaining 15 delivered healthy babies, but 12 were diagnosed with malperfusion, a condition that limits blood flow between the mother and fetus. 6 had placental blood clots. I spoke with pathologist and lead author of the study, Dr. Jeffrey Goldstein.
One, we think our maternal outcomes are pretty good. Two, in women that have more severe coronavirus disease or have other comorbidities or problems with their pregnancy, we don't know, we can't really say what that looks like.
Dr. Goldstein says women need closer monitoring. A larger study will be launched to look at pregnant women with underlying conditions. Atlanta City Council member Amir Faroqi surveying damages to several businesses in District 2 following recent protests.
That's going to do it for Stay at Home Connect. Have a safe evening.
Can one girl in a small town, an architect in a major city, and a suburban high school coach shape the future of the United States? Yes, they can. Because every 10 years, the census gives us that power. You can shape your future by responding to the 2020 census. Where do we need new roads to make our lives easier? Where will new school programs help our children thrive? Where could a new health clinic benefit neighborhoods? The 2020 census will inform these decisions and shape how billions of dollars will be distributed to communities like yours each year. And in 2020, you can respond to the census online, by phone, or by mail. It's easy, safe, and important. Make sure you and everyone you know is counted. Now is the time for you to get involved. Your community needs you. Together, we can educate and excite, inspire and make sure every voice is heard. Together, we can shape our future.
I'm Phyllis Jackson. Thanks for joining us for Stay at Home Connect.
If you were out protesting last night, you probably need to go get a COVID test this week, because there's still a pandemic in America that's killing Black and brown people at higher numbers.
Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms sharing concerns about the potential for new COVID-19 cases. She echoes the voices of medical professionals who are also worried about an increase in coronavirus due to protests. Demonstrations were sparked by the death of George Floyd, who was killed while under police custody in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Doctors are strongly encouraging protesters to wear face masks to protect themselves and those with whom they will come in contact, as large assemblies like demonstrations make social distancing difficult, if not impossible. A small Northwestern University study finds that COVID-19 may attack the placentas of pregnant women. 16 women were studied. One suffered a miscarriage. The remaining 15 delivered healthy babies, but 12 were diagnosed with malperfusion, a condition that limits blood flow between the mother and fetus. 6 had placental blood clots. I spoke with pathologist and lead author of the study, Dr. Jeffrey Goldstein.
One, we think our maternal outcomes are pretty good. Two, in women that have more severe coronavirus disease or have other comorbidities or problems with their pregnancy, we don't know, we can't really say what that looks like.
Dr. Goldstein says women need closer monitoring. A larger study will be launched to look at pregnant women with underlying conditions. Atlanta City Council member Amir Faroqi surveying damages to several businesses in District 2 following recent protests.
That's going to do it for Stay at Home Connect. Have a safe evening.
Can one girl in a small town, an architect in a major city, and a suburban high school coach shape the future of the United States? Yes, they can. Because every 10 years, the census gives us that power. You can shape your future by responding to the 2020 census. Where do we need new roads to make our lives easier? Where will new school programs help our children thrive? Where could a new health clinic benefit neighborhoods? The 2020 census will inform these decisions and shape how billions of dollars will be distributed to communities like yours each year. And in 2020, you can respond to the census online, by phone, or by mail. It's easy, safe, and important. Make sure you and everyone you know is counted. Now is the time for you to get involved. Your community needs you. Together, we can educate and excite, inspire, and make sure every voice is heard. Together, we can shape our future.
All right, my watch is showing 1 o'clock. Ms. Kempson-Wright, are you back in the saddle?
Yes, I am.
All right, thank you, good deal. Hello, I'm Howard Shook. I'm Vice Chair of the Finance Executive Committee, which is playing host on behalf of the entire Council to the Council's review of the Mayor's proposed 2021 fiscal budget. And we are, in today's afternoon session, going to hear from Enterprise Assets Management. They're allotted an hour. And then at 2, we'll conclude with customer service. And we're ready for the roll call.
Council President Moore. Councilmember Smith. Here. Councilmember Faroki. Councilmember Brown. Councilmember Winslow. Councilmember Archibald. Councilmember Ide. Councilmember Mazikite. Councilmember Hillis. Councilmember Boone. Present. Councilmember Overstreet. Present. Councilmember Shepherd. Present. Councilmember Bunn. Councilmember Westmoreland. Councilmember Dickens. Mr. Vice Chair, you have a total of 6 attendees on the line with you at this time.
All right, and for the record, I know that a lot of members of Council attended and apparently are still in attendance at this morning's rally downtown, and I suspect will be joining us as that wraps up. And so thank you very much. Is DEAM ready?
Yes, we are.
Yes. Thank you. Please proceed.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the City Council. My name is Remy Santil, Commissioner of the Department of Enterprise Asset Management, also known as DEAM. I am also joined today by Chris Davis, Deputy Commissioner, Tiffany Burden, Director of Administration, Shantae Martin, Director of Facility Operations, Jean Lavelle, Director of Real Estate, and Cressida Watkins, Business Manager. Today I will review DEAM's operating budget for fiscal year 2021. The Department of Enterprise Asset Management's mission is to provide strategic oversight, direction, construction, and management of the City of Atlanta's real estate, asset holdings, facilities, and enterprise assets. Next slide. We have 5 divisions within our group: administration, real estate, facility operations, technical services, and security, adding up to 108 full-time employees. Our key metrics across departments are critical repairs, maintaining the budget with reduced overtime, preventive maintenance compliance, as well as ADA compliance. Next slide, please. Just some highlights of our fiscal year 20. I want to highlight some of our accomplishments. Some of those accomplishments include the construction of Atlanta Police Department Zone 3 precinct. We implemented the emergency notification system. And also, we also conducted a threat vulnerability assessment with Georgia Emergency Management and the Homeland Security Agency at the City Hall. And our operations department closed a total number of 13,000 work orders. Next slide. Relative to our proposed budget changes, we are looking at personnel changes. Our personnel funding has reduced by $987,573, and is based on funding only filled positions. Our contractor services budget is being reduced by $222,000. However, we are reviewing all our contracts and plan to make reductions that exceed 4%. We also anticipate being able to accommodate new life safety contracts from the proposed allocation. Additionally, we are proposing to move excess supply budgets funds from our contract up to our contracted services, and we anticipate receiving some CARES Act money to cover some of our FY21 expenses. Looking at our other cost changes, we also will be looking towards utilizing the neighborhood trust accounts to cover some of the repairs and janitorial services for our neighborhood centers. Next slide. On this slide, we just want to highlight some of our fiscal year 21 goals. Like I just mentioned, we are going to look to establish some critical life safety contracts, as well as disinfect and outfit facilities in response to the COVID-19. We also look to develop a development of the return to work strategy amid COVID-19, where we'll be looking at workforce readiness, health, safety, and wellness for our employees and visitors, as well as, again, utilizing CARE Act funding. With that, Mr. Chairman, that is the conclusion of our presentation.
Okay, thank you. 5 slides is an indoor record that may never be broken. While I'm waiting to hear from colleagues in terms of requests for recognition, I've got a couple, and okay. I realize that the coming or the impacts of the virus really started to be felt far into the budget development process, and so my question is, to what extent, if at all, were you then or are you now reviewing city-owned properties for their possible sale or otherwise return to the tax rolls?
I could probably let our real estate, John Lavelle, answer that particular question.
Council member, this is John Lavelle, and you are aware of the big ticket items that the city has disposed or sold in the last several years, so that there are very few significant assets, that remain. The chief among them, though, would be City Plaza, which is immediately across the street from City Hall. It is a 164-unit apartment complex and 30,000 square feet of commercial space on the ground level. And currently, the Atlanta Housing Authority is completing its due diligence to determine if they want to make us an offer on that property. We bought it in 2015, and we had originally $15 million, I believe, in bonds that are pledged and cannot be recalled until 2026. So we could sell the property, put sufficient funds in an account to continue paying off the bonds until they can be called in 2026. So that is a significant asset. We probably have, or we have, about a dozen parcels, which are single-family properties in neighborhoods that would justify marketing them and return something in excess of $1 million to the city. We have previously offered these properties to the housing division for consideration as for affordable housing or in any project that the housing division is looking into, but these have not been chosen. So we think we would like to market them in the coming fiscal year. And those, but that is essentially it. What we are taking a hit on several of our properties. Lakewood, in particular, the Live Nation will not be putting on any concerts this year, so we're not going to generate any revenue because their lease is based on percentages of ticket sales and other income, and if they have no revenue, then we get nothing. We do get $600,000 a year at that location from EUE Screen Gems. And we have no expenses associated with that property, so that is all net to the city. And we have another $1 million, about $1 million a year that we generate in our telecommunication leases that you've been seeing over the last couple of years where they come up for renewal. Well, those are the highlights. So if there are any particular questions, I'd be more than happy to address them.
All right. What's the leasing status of those 160 plus City Plaza units?
This is the time of year, of course, where 60% of the tenants are students, which is another reason why I would propose that we sell the property, because it is multifamily, is well received within the market. But with 60% students, we don't know how much student housing is going to be offered either at Underground or in the Gulch or by Georgia State. So we would like to market this property while it's still hot. The point being that occupancy has always exceeded 95%. It's been managed since we acquired it by JMG Realty. They have done an excellent job. We get very, very few complaints. I can count on two fingers in the last 5 years the number of complaints I've received. And that property generates about $1.8 million a year, I believe, in net operating income. So that would be after expenses and before the debt payment.
All right, thank you. I have another question, but Ms. Boone has signed up, so let's go straight to her. And anyone else, please contact me, Ms. Smith.
Yes, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I am not sure who to direct this question to, but just wanting to make sure that we have enough tables and chairs in City Hall so that the old council chambers and the atrium can be occupied at the same time. We've run into places where we were having events or forums and the atrium was occupied and there were not enough tables for the old council chambers. Who should I direct that question to?
I can take that. This is Remy Santil, the commissioner. We will assess that, and I'm sure right now with the current social distancing, the number of participants relative to that will be allowed in the atrium is going to be a number that's going to be to be determined. And if need so, we will make that assessment and purchase additional chairs and tables for that services if needed.
That would be really helpful. And also, have you all looked into providing any other necessity equipment in preparation for the opening of City Hall? The cubicles are very small. Where the council members sit, we're virtually 12 inches apart. Has anyone began to look at any of that reconfiguration?
Well, the level of reconfiguration that are currently looking at is all revolving around COVID-19 and the social distancing. We are making an assessment of what that is going to look like with our team, and we can then provide that information to you, to the council members, to let you guys know how that would be.
Thank you very much, sir.
Not a problem.
That concludes my questions.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Boone. Ms. Shepard.
Yes. On your slide for proposed budget changes under other cost changes, we talked about the neighborhood trust fund cover repairs and janitorial services for neighborhood centers. What is the neighborhood trust fund? I don't know. A trust account. What is that?
Our Director John Lavelle can provide more information on that.
Yes, council member. the legislation that we've had approved by the city for the operation of the 3 neighborhood centers, Burdine and John C. Burdine in your district, the Dunbar facility in Councilmember Winslow's district, and the Georgia Hill facility in Councilmember Smith's district, provide that 50% of the revenues generated go into the general fund, and the other 50% goes into a trust fund for each of the facilities. So those funds are available only for use in those facilities. It helps with some of the shortfall that Enterprise Assets Management has had in its operating budgets for maintenance and repair, and for things like cameras, security cameras, and then the bulk of it is for when tenants move out to refurbish, refresh, reconfigure space for new tenants.
Okay, so that money is just coming, what you call that money where they pay for their lease, is called the neighborhood trust account. And what you're saying okay.
Correct. It's a trust account for each facility, generated by the revenues paid by the tenants in those facilities for their leases.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I got it. One other question. I just heard you say, and I didn't know the Live Nation was having concerts this year, and it makes sense. My question is it Chastain also? They have a contract with us at Chastain. Are they also not having concerts at Chastain?
That's my understanding. That, of course, falls under the Department of Parks and Recreation, but I believe that Live Nation has canceled all events nationwide, and they have there are a number of people that I just learned this week that they're actually laying off.
Okay. All right. I just want to get clarity on that. Thank you.
Certainly.
All right, thank you. Anyone else, please notify me. So let's talk about ADA compliance. I know there are sort of 2 separate headings that we're involved in. One is all the sort of exterior public right-of-way issues that have been identified. But then, well, thanks to a federal audit, we were given a long laundry list of interior problems that needed to be fixed. So could you give us a snapshot? And I assume you're referring to the latter, but please elaborate.
I can let Chris Davis, Deputy CEO, can provide that information.
Good afternoon, Council Chair. Yeah, so to answer your question, it is the latter, which is more so the facility perspective versus the horizontal. So we've been over the years since the decree has come out, has been doing a number of ADA upgrades to all of the facilities that we are going in and doing additional work, and in some cases we actually have some ADA facilities that we actually are upgrading. That may include restrooms upgrades to meet ADAs, looking at some other means that's making sure that there's access in and out of the facilities, adding ramps and a few other things with some of the electronic doors for ADA accessibility. So we are continuing to focus on that in each one of our facilities. So as we go through and create projects or things that's brought to our attention, we're developing plans to address those issues.
Okay, so in other words, we're still cycling through the list, the original list?
The original list, as you mentioned before, had some specifics in there. Then it also had some open-end pieces. So there are some ongoing things that we continue to go through. From the original list, there's been a number, a great deal of those that actually has been addressed within a number of our facilities. And so, but we are noting that as we go forward, there are some additional things that may come up, or there may be some additional challenges as relates to ADA that we are continuing to address. So this is not the way that we're looking at this is not a one-time piece of it, but the list that was initially addressed, a lot of those things have been addressed and taken care of. But this is going to be a continuous process as we continue to do those things. And so some things that were never put on the list that we are addressing as well. So it's an ongoing piece for us.
Thank you. Ms. Shepherd.
I want to thank you. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to thank you all for your work on the Zone 3 police precinct. We have been working on that for quite some time. I was out there with y'all last week just kind of internally going over the site. My community residents are continuously asking me, when is it going to open, what's happening, and so hopefully we'll have it ready, hopefully by between July and August. But thank you all for the work in terms of finally getting the Zone 3 police precinct built. Folks believed it was never going to happen, so thank you all.
Thank you for your support, Councilman.
All right, do any of my colleagues have additional questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, thank you and your crew for the work that you do. And public and colleagues, we're going to recess until 2 o'clock, and we'll wrap up with our final supplicant of the day, which will be customer service. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.